Alright, what is happening people, and welcome back to a brand new video on this channel. First of all, if you are new to the channel, do drop a like and subscribe. I'm going to be dropping a number of videos over the next coming weeks before the championship begins, previewing a lot of the Connacht Championship, Ulster Championship, etc, etc, all the provisional championships. I'm going to be doing a bit of a preview here and there, so do drop that subscribe button, hit the notifications bell as well, and yeah, let's get straight into it. So it certainly was, a really well-packed weekend of action in both football and hurling. There are lots to talk about, lots of discussion points, and we will talk a bit about Kilkenny as well towards the end of the video, of course, previewing the big final between them and Tipperary this weekend in the National Hurling League. So yeah, but we'll start off though by talking a bit about the Division 1 final that happened on Sunday. Dublin beating Galway 18 points to 14 points. And to be fair to Galway, they actually gave this game they gave it a really good game in the end. They came with the blanket defence, as many people expected. That's kind of the way they're set up this year. They sat up very, very deep. They made it tough for Dublin. It never really looked like they were going to win the game. The way they were playing, their style, meant that Dublin were probably always going to win, especially with Dublin's experience. But to be fair to Galway, anytime Dublin looked like they were going to pull away, they were going to go 1 or 2 points ahead, Galway, came back and they done well, and they kept, they done really well to stay in the game. Defensively, they done really well. I thought Shane Walsh had a fantastic game as well for Galway. Kicked them, phenomenal point there in the second half. And Galway done really well, but in the end, it was Dublin's experience that really pulled through. I mean, that midfield from Dublin was just unbelievable. Kieran Kilkenny, Philly McMahon, just really, really good in the midfield. And of course, you can't remember, Dublin are missing so many key players up the front of the park at the moment, with the likes of Bernard Brogan, Dermot Connolly out at the moment. But Dublin, in the end, just that experience. We weren't amazing in this game, we haven't been amazing in the league at all, but we just managed to pull through. And that's the thing about this Dublin team is, even when we don't play well, even when we're not at our very best, we still manage to find a way to get the job done, which it's just fantastic at the end of the day. Of course, I want to see Dublin play well, and I think we will. When we need to show up, we normally do, and I don't see any different, going into this year. I think we're definitely favourites going into that All-Ireland Championship. We're going to be at a final, I'd say a semi-final at the very minimum, and we're going to be up there. We're probably going to be, we're probably going to win it again. But I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Kerry have a good youthful team at the moment. Mayo, of course, will be thereabouts. You got a couple of other good sides, and even Galway, to be fair to them, like going into this Connacht Championship, I'll probably have them as favourites going into it at the moment. So they're in fantastic form. They've had a really good campaign. Just losing out to Dublin in the end because more so of Dublin's experience, but you'd have to say fair play to Galway. And then of course you had the Division 2 final. Roscommon played Cavan, and what a game this was, lads. I mean, this was some game. Two sides just really, really going for it. No defensive tactics, just a proper game of football. Both teams going for it. I mean, it was a bit crazy, to be honest with you, especially that first half. Cavan, it looked like they forgot how to kick points. I mean, they just kept going for goals, and it was working. I mean, they got those 2 early goals. It looked like Cavan were going to run away with it. And to be fair, I thought Cavan would go into this game a little bit defensive, because that's normally the way they've played. But unlike Galway, who've sort of gone into the defensive mode, Cavan are sort of shifting out of that. And a fair play to them. Like, they really, really went for this. Gave Roscommon one hell of a game. And I mean, Roscommon's defence in that first half was honestly awful. It was really, really poor, especially for that third goal, the way they just let Cavan run through. And I think it was Darren McVitie who scored the goal, and especially for the penalty as well. It was a bit, they should be doing a bit better there. But to be fair to Roscommon, unlike the last time they were in Croke Park when they played Mayo and their heads dropped and they got absolutely hammered, they responded really, really well. To get a couple of goals themselves. I think they hit like 7 unanswered points or something like that. They looked really, really good, and their attack and play, for me, is definitely up there with some of the best sides in the country at the moment. They just need to find that balance defensively. They're still very, very weak defensively. If they come up against a Dublin, a Kerry, a Mayo, a Tyrone, I think they'll get picked apart. Maybe not Tyrone, but I think Dublin, Kerry especially, if they come up against them too, they will get picked apart. So, they need to improve a lot more defensively. It's a tough thing to ask for. It's very hard to find that balance. We see that with a lot of teams at the moment, but fair play in the end to Roscommon for getting that victory. Conor Devaney had a fantastic game as well. I think he was the man of the match, so fair play to Roscommon. Donny Smith as well looked really good, so fair play to Roscommon in the end, getting that victory. and you know, it's going to be very interesting to see now for Cavan as well. How can they do going into the Ulster Championship? And if we touch on the Division 3 and Division 4 finals just very quickly, fair play to Armagh in the end, who came past Fermanagh. Very good victory in the end for Armagh. They looked really good in this game. It was, you know, a close battle, of course. You know, these two will be playing each other in the opening game of the Ulster Championship. So I think both sides, you know, they had that going into this game. They want to have the momentum going into that Ulster Championship. And Armagh, for me, are certainly a side that are improving. They're getting a lot better, in my opinion. You know, they're going into this Ulster Championship as maybe slight, you know, underdogs or something like that. When you look at the campaign they had last year, going through the qualifiers and then getting to an All-Ireland quarter-final. So they've got a real chance, and they've got, you know, a young team. I think McGeeney's doing well with this Armagh side. Fermanagh, of course, you know, they've done all right. You know, to get promotion, I think, was definitely their aim. So fair play to the both of them. It'll be interesting to see what they do in Ulster. And obviously Carlow, I had them tipped to beat Laois going into this game into the Division 4 final. But Carlow, you know, they just, I'm not too sure. I think they were a little bit nervous. They played a bit too defensive for me. They didn't go for it enough. And Laois, with the experience, you know, they've got a lot of experience in that team. Donny Kingston, for example, looked really good in this game. And Laois, in the end, just had too much experience for Carlow. And fair play to them. Hopefully, both of these two teams can have a good campaign in the Leinster Championship. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought of all those games, and of course going into the championship as well. You know, who do you guys think are going to be contenders for each of, you know, the 4 provincial championships? Of course, is it just going to be the same old teams, the Dublin, the Kerrys, the Mayos, or will there be some new sides, you know, making an appearance? I definitely think there's definitely a potential, especially if you look at Ulster. I think there's a lot of teams there that you could put your money on. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in football in the championship this year. But yeah, now let's talk some hurling. Yeah, we'll start off with Tipperary, who's seen off Limerick in extra time. What a game this was, you know, really good game. Limerick, of course, you know, a young side coming through the ranks a bit. They've had a really good league campaign, to be fair to them, Limerick. You know, you have to give them a lot of credit. But in the end, Tipperary's experience and skill just got them through the line, with Jason Ford having a wonderful game. Ronan Marr as well was absolutely fantastic. So you've got to say Tipperary looking really good at the moment going into you know, this season. You know, Tipperary going into that final, you'd probably say as favourites over a Kilkenny team that a lot of people seem to be doubting, well, not anymore, of course, after they trounced Wexford. But Tipperary looking very good at the moment. And yeah, I don't think many people would have expected the, you know, an old rivalry in many ways, where Tipperary and Kilkenny will play each other in that National Hurling League final. But fair play to Tipperary in the end. It went to extra time. It was a tough game in the end. And Limerick have had some, you know, tough matches in the past, you know, couple of weeks and stuff. So Tipperary, you know, having to go to extra time with Clare. So in the end, Tipperary doing enough, and you've got to say fair play to them. And, you know, I've got a sneaky feeling for them going into the championship this year. I think they'll win the, I'm not too sure about the Munster Championship, but I've just got a sneaky feeling that they will be there come September or August, or whenever the final is going to be played this year. We don't know yet, of course. So anyway, let's move on. Kilkenny, of course, were playing in a game against Wexford in, of course, the semi-final as well. And fair play to Kilkenny. They looked really good in this game. I wasn't too sure about them going into this, because Wexford had the momentum going into this game, but they just looked a bit tired. They didn't look quite up for it as many people would have expected. And you know, they played, of course, last week against Galway. They've had a lot of tough matches this year, Wexford, and in the end, Kilkenny just had too much for them. You know, it was a reality check in many ways for Wexford. Kilkenny way too strong, looking way too good. And what do you guys think about Kilkenny this year? Because of course they have some, you know, new emerging talents coming through, like Buckley, of course, who's looking really good. And then, of course, you know, the experience of Walter Welsh and TJ Reid. Kilkenny looking, you know, really good in this game. They haven't had a great league campaign from their standards, but they're in the final. And at the end of the day, sometimes about the league, it's not about, you know, how good you are. It's just about getting to the final, getting as many games under your belt before that championship. And I've got a sneaky feeling Kilkenny will actually do Tipperary, because, you know, they're the informed side all of a sudden, having beaten Wexford. Then at the same time, you look at, you know, Wexford were probably a bit leggy. They weren't quite up for it. And then, you know, on the other scale, Tipperary coming through a mighty battle with Limerick in the end to win the game. So, you know, I'm looking at Kilkenny. I think it's foolish to write them off. I think they're going to be up there again this year. They're going to be there or thereabouts, you know, certainly in the Leinster Championship, which is going to be highly competitive when you've got Galway, of course, and Wexford there as well. Maybe Dublin might surprise people, who knows. Offaly, of course, are looking good as well. So, you know, it's going to be a very, very competitive tournament in hurling this year. Leinster Championship, Munster Championship, and of course the All-Ireland series. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Of course, there's a new format in hurling as well. It's going to be kind of like a league format or something like that. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But, you know, you'd have to say Kilkenny, you know, with their experience of Walter Welsh and TJ Reid, will they go all the way in hurling this year? It's going to be very, very interesting to see. But in terms of this game against Tipperary, I think it's going to be very, very close. Both teams are really, really going to go for it. But I've just got a sneaky feeling about Kilkenny. I think they'll do it. I think with, you know, that bit of experience coming through, TJ Reid and Walter Welsh, of course, I think will, you know, dominate the game pretty much, and Tipperary might just struggle to keep hold of them in the end. But it's very, very hard to predict. I think it could go either way. It could easily go to extra time again, or whatever. So I'm going to go with Kilkenny to win by a point, but it wouldn't surprise me either way. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. Let me guys know what you guys think will happen in the game this weekend. Of course, are any of you going to it? You know, it's going to be very interesting to see how Kilkenny get on against Tipperary. And of course, what did you guys think of the games that just passed there on the weekend? Of course, I wasn't at the Dublin game, but, you know, I still got to watch it, of course. So it was a very interesting game, very interesting weekend in, you know, in fairness. And of course, a bit of a break now before the provincial championships. But as I said before, I will be dropping previews, so do watch out for them. And yeah, guys, I think I'm going to wrap this up here. So I hope you have a great end to your week. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you.